Hey, I'm Tony Clark, and here we are at the Ferraro's on the Hill Italian restaurant with my fellow magician first, Sherry Sicard, but also fellow food lover. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks.
Wait, our worlds come back together.
I know, Magic Castle to Ferraro's on the Hill.
25 years ago we met at the Magic Castle, and now we're meeting back at the restaurant.
Yeah.
Both with things we love, food.
Exactly.
Hi, I'm Tony Clark, and welcome to my three most favorite things: pizza, pasta, and Prestidigitation.
Well, here's Mitch, the co-owner of Ferraro's on the Hill and the chief pizza maker here. The one thing we did change from Joe was the pizza crust, because frankly, I think I do a better pizza crust, and Joe came in and agreed, so.
Love it. And then the bread too, you guys make the bread?
We do, we bake the bread from scratch every morning. We come in early, bake the bread right from scratch. We do the meatballs from scratch.
This is a beef sauce?
This is a meat sauce, right, and with the meatballs in it, but then we have marinara sauce over here for the vegetarians.
Right.
So we do both. We do a bolognese sauce, creamy meat sauce, lasagna from scratch.
In this little pouch is a spoon my mom gave to me before she passed away. If you can see, it's bent. I estimated she probably made over 2,000 pots of sauce with this at her house. Homemade Italian sauce, either meat sauce or marinara sauce for lasagna, for pizzas, whatever. So I thought, you know what? Look at that. It's so bent because you had it always on the edge of the pot. I thought it's time to test everybody's sauce with Mama's spoon. It's great. It has multiple flavors. That's how you know it's good. You start with one flavor, and then it evolves into another flavor. You first taste the tomatoes, then you taste the meat, and the spices. Mm-hmm.
Would Mama approve?
She like that.
Yeah.
No, it's good. Molto delicioso, as my mom would say. This is the real magic of life right here. I'm gonna try a little bit of this. The penne. The sauce is light, but flavorful. It's not a heavy sauce, it's a light sauce. I'm gonna try a piece of chicken in there. The chicken absorbs all the flavor. Wow. Honestly, my mom never made this. This is almost like a higher end Italian, but look at that, it's a work of art. Look at that. So how do you get a legendary magician from the Magic Castle to show up to do an interview? You bribe him with great Italian food. And I love it because it brings friends and family together. Great Italian food is magical. You never know who shows up at your table. Wow. So now we had almost everything on the menu. It's hard to say what was the best. I mean, overall, what do you think?
I happen to be Italian sausage and pepper is my favorite dish.
And you enjoyed it?
I loved it.
Yeah. To me, I think everything had that flavor, like I mentioned before, it was very deep flavoring. It wasn't just one level. And it wasn't overpowering. The chicken piccata was nice and light. It was like perfect.
Yeah, you get those level of flavors that just stay there. You taste one
deeper.
thing and then something else comes up.
I think that's the mark of a good recipe.
No problem with that. I agree.
Now, you grew up in an Italian neighborhood back in New York?
In Rochester, New York. In Rochester, when I was growing up, you were either Jewish or Italian.
Yeah.
And I had the Antonelli families to one side and the Starpolis to the other side. And my mother used to make, the typical matzo ball soup and so forth. And we would give that to them, and they would give us all this wonderful Italian food. And I'll be honest with you, I had more Italian food than Jewish food.
You did?
And loved it.
So what point did you do magic back then? What age did you get into it? Like some guys started young. I started very young, 6 years old. When did you start?
Well, as a 12-year-old, I got a job in a pool hall.
Yeah.
In that pool hall, there was a back room. It was a bust-out joint. It was a place where people played cards, and they had scrupulous dealers. And I got friendly with one, and he showed me a false shuffle and a false cut, and I was intrigued. Later on in life, I went to the magic shop in Rochester, New York. Now about 7 years have gone by, and I met a young man who was about 13, who did some magic, Tony, that was just incredible. And he told me one day, I'm going to be he's going to be a famous magician. And it came to fruition. His name was Michael Skinner.
That's the thing I want people to know about magicians. There's a lot of master magicians like yourself that are not necessarily known in public, but in the world of magic, you're known all over the world because of what you created and your history with Di Vernon, which is another legendary magician of the Magic Castle.
There was a gentleman by the name of Ray Grismer, and we became very good friends. And he said to me, Howard, I have a student that's taking piano lessons, and in return, the student's teaching him magic. Would you like to meet my piano student? I said, fine. And we walked into the Magic Castle. It was the first week in January in 1970. And he said, this is my piano student. It was Di Vernon.
Wow.
And of course I knew of the name, and I was just awestruck. And very fortunately for me, he took a liking to me. It was great friendship from 1970 to 1992 when he passed away.
How old was he when he died?
98.
And what did he do mostly at the castle? What did he always have in his hand?
He had a cigar in one hand and a Johnny Walker Red in the other.
And he used to have a cane that he'd hang on his arm, right?
You're right.
He didn't use the cane, he hung it on his arm. Isn't that funny?
Yeah.
You've been doing magic all your life. You see the best in the Magic Castle of all kinds, stage and stuff. What do you see as what makes the difference between a good performer and a really professional, great performer?
The great performer immediately connects with his audience within 3 seconds. When the audience is comfortable in that connection, they're comfortable. They're comfortable with them. But also a good professional knows structure and fully understands how to treat and respect the audience.
That's a big deal. I'm a big advocate of that, because if you were to insult a spectator here today,
you're insulting the entire audience they represent.
That person will never come to me and never want to pick a card from me.
Absolutely.
Or ever go to a magic show.
Absolutely. I have to tell you a story. Martin Nash, a great entertainer.
Yeah.
To me,
did gambling stuff.
Gambling routines are the most boring things in the world, basically, to an audience. After all, give me a number of players, 5. What seat do you want to sit in? Shuffle, 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 and they get the aces. Well, what else? What can't they do, right? It becomes a little, the mystique.
Mundane.
Yeah, mundane in a way. And so this is a true story. The professor, myself, Earl Nelson, and Larry Jennings were preceded to see Martin Nash, the charming cheat. He says, sir, can you shuffle? And he said, sure, and he gives him a half. Can you shuffle? And gives him half. Exchange half, shuffle, cut, shuffle. He says, deal 26 pairs of cards. And now he says, point to a pair, and he turns it over, 2 red jacks, and the audience goes crazy. Another pair, 2 black 3s, 2 red 5s, 2 black 7s. I mean, the paintings were coming off the wall at
building them. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, from pair 8 to pair 15.
Yeah.
And from pair 16 to 25, I've heard more noise in a mortuary.
It's too much.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And now he turns over the last pair, 2 red queens. He stands up and says, what did you think of that? And this is what you heard, honestly. Vernon had cut wind in his sleep. I'm not lying about this. He had